Welcome back to the morning show here on Arise News. Thank you for staying with us. Well, our next guest eats, sleeps, and wakes up dispensing humor. A humor merchant, if you'd like. But for those conversant with the subject, Basketmouth is far more than being a comedian, and over the past few years has evolved into an entertainment personality of no mean repute. Both from the point of view of on-screen personality and mega producer, it's our pleasure to have you on the morning show with us today. Good morning.
Can you say it to me? I want to give it to my boys too.
Dope. It's a pleasure to have you on. First of all, I have to say, a brand new look. You look very different. Reminds me of your.
You guys like it?
Yeah.
Is this for tomorrow?
It's for tomorrow. I've been wanting to do something crazy, and when the idea came up, I was like, yo, I'm going to do it. And look like, what's this guy's name? Is it Awilo? Is it Awilo? Yeah. Or Kofi Olumide, one of those guys? Yeah, I don't know. But I like the look, I love it. And it blends with the outfit for tomorrow and the kind of madness I'll be displaying on stage. So this is just the right one.
So it's still Basketmouth
Unprovoked.
Unprovoked.
Yeah.
All right, so talk to us about it from February in London up till now. How... what have you done with the brand, and what should people expect tomorrow?
So I realized that the way I was doing it wasn't the right way for a very long time. So I stopped, which was like 4 or 5 years ago. I backed out and said, Bright, you need to reconstruct everything, because back then I used to do the February show in London, stretch it out. Sometimes I do the North America tour, and sometimes it wasn't just planned. Right, so I told my guys that, look, let's take some time off. We can continue with the UK shows, but let's take some time off, and when we come back to Lagos, everything must be in sync. So we started with the UK. I think the first show was on the 12th of February, and we stretched it till March. We did Europe, and the plan was to end with Nigeria, and that's why we call it The Last Stand. So for every year, when we start the tour, like next year is going to be the cancel culture, and we'll run it till November again and call it the cancel culture, The Last Stand. So every show in Lagos is The Last Stand because we're ending in Lagos. So we want to do it in a way where Lagos becomes the end of the tour and the biggest part of the tour. And so far, so good. At least we've done about 30 shows this year. And at least we were able to sell out 25 of them, and the other 5 were still, at least 90, 80% sold out.
Wow.
Yeah, so it's been great.
We know Uncensored. I think that's a name
popular
that was around for such a long time, and now you switched it to Unprovoked. Why the switch in names? What was the inspiration behind that?
So Basketmouth Uncensored was designed to see Basketmouth, say it as it is, and I kept that name for too long. However, every set should have a different name. The same way you have like Chris Rock, Bigger and Blacker, and Scared, this Never Scared, and all this stuff. I decided to Bright, yes, you've built a Basketmouth Uncensored brand name, but you can't do this all the time. So we decided to title every show with its own tag that reflects on the material. So Basketmouth Unprovoked was created because of the topic. The topics I'll be dealing on. Most of the things happened unprovoked. Some of the actions that I took, my reactions, was unprovoked. And everything was just the perfect name for it. So for every year, we're going to be changing the title name. So next year is Cancel Culture. The year after is One Night Stand. The one after that until the 5th year, because I'm signing out in 5 years. Yeah, so the last show.
Comedy.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Because you'll be 50 then.
I'll be 50 years, and by then, before then, I would have moved into something else. I'll be taking a lot of my time, and I don't want to cheat comedy that way. I want to give it 100%. So I know that 5 years I can blend both, because I'm going fully into movie and TV from next year, and music concerts. It's going to be hard for you to do all these things and still give 100% to comedy. And, since I've done 25 years in comedy already, I'm like, you know what, you've tried. 5 more years, easy to wrap up. And that's the reason we are giving it our best for the next 5 years. You guys are going to be having a lot of fun because we cooked some really amazing stuff for our people in Nigeria and across the world as well. Yeah.
So you've built up the next 5 years, and your next 5 shows are completely done, or you're still going to be working on material as time goes on?
Now, so after the 5th year, definitely you as a comedian, you can't stop writing materials. You can, like, I'll keep writing definitely, because a great idea is a great idea. Just pencil it down, and maybe, maybe another 10 years after now, or 15 years, I might come back and, and the name of that show, because I was telling my friends, I was like, if I'm going to come back after I take a break and, maybe 5 years or 10 years, I'm out of the game and I want to come back, the name of the show is going to be called For the Last Time.
But is it really the last time, though?
Yeah, then if I decide to do it again, for the very last time. So it kind of like created everything. So what I try to do is I try to create ahead, because by the grace of God, I'll live long. So why wait? So I think we have a 15-year plan. Yeah, and that includes all the other projects I'm working on, my flatmate, Papa Benji, and all these other things. So we did like a good, 5-year to 15-year plan.
All right, Bryce, I like the envisioning your future and everything.
Yeah.
But if you look back, particularly to when people started, knowing and appreciating you, and I'm referring to the days on the stage of Motherland.
I knew you were going to go
on Lagbaja stage.
Yeah.
The days of War, and all those things. Bright, or let's say Basketmouth, has grown as a brand, multi-talented, multi-faceted, and everything. How do you assess what you have done in 25 years? And an extension of that is, how do you assess the comedy sector as part of the whole creative sector? Do you think that we are just witnessing, say, about 10, 15 known people, or is there an industry behind this comedy sector of the creative economy?
So the comedy sector is actually, if I want to be honest, and my people watching, my comedians, colleagues and the rest of them, they will agree with me, it's actually dying.
Really?
Yeah, it's the culture of stand-up comedy is bleeding terribly. And it's mainly because, let me start with, with music, they have their streaming platform. They have a platform that supports what they do across the world. With movies, they have the same thing. They have the streaming platforms, and Afrobeats broke into that space and made room for the movies. Now, unfortunately for comedy, we don't have any platform. We don't have comedy clubs. We don't have any structure. And like in the States, when you see, like if Dave Chappelle decides to go on tour, before he goes on that tour, he does comedy clubs across the states. You understand, from LA to San Francisco to all this New York, and tries the material repeatedly. Chris Rock does the same thing. Kevin Hart, they all do these things. They go to comedy clubs. Out here, there's no comedy club. There's nowhere for you to practice your material, because this is an art. You can't just create it and go on stage and try it when you don't know what the response is going to be like. When musicians make their songs, they call different people, different A&R. Tell me what you think before you feed it to the rest of the world. But out here, you see a lot of comedians, it's a risky game. And they are the ones promoting the show, they're the ones looking for sponsors. It is not built to support, the system is not built to support comedy. Now, a lot of newbies, they don't have the platform like we had. Lagbaja, I remember you back then. I was a young chap. But Lagbaja created a 30-minute slot for comedian, and we will get on stage at 4 a.m. hoping that people are not tired. But luckily, the comedy was so good, people will wait. But we don't have that anymore. We don't have any gig that happens.
Social media and all those kids?
Now, with social media, now what's happening right now, that's another thing that affected stand-up comedy. A lot of people started mistaking skit makers, you understand, with stand-up comedians. They are two different sets of people. And some skit makers now try to do stand-up comedy, and most of them bombed. It's different when you create a content, sometimes lifted from somewhere or your own creation and all that. And you build your brand to a point where you now decide to, let me do stand-up comedy, and you're not built for it. You will bomb. And when there are more people bombing, when there are a lot of people, a lot of comedians that don't know the trick because they don't know how to evolve and transcend their art, no space for them to grow and build their brands. They feed from whatever.
That's right.
Yeah, and they are not well refined. When they get on stage, the audience, they are judging them, and by doing all these things, people are now like, you know what, do we really need a comedian? Do you get? And they've ruined the fees. There are some comedians that are charging $250, $500, because the economy too is bleeding everybody, So I can tell you that there are over 1,000 comedians in Nigeria that I don't know about. Do you get? And it's not that they are not good. Most of them, they are extremely good, but we don't get to see them. There's no platform. When you if you do stand-up comedy, people don't consume stand-up comedy the way they consume skits. Skit is 1 minute. Stand-up comedy, 1 minute, you're preparing the set still. You're still watching the story. You need about 5 minutes to do a proper set. Nobody has that time to waste their money on data to watch a 5 minutes performance like that. So skits became easily consumed by the audience, leaving stand-up comedy out. So that's what we are trying to do. I am trying to re-engineer and, gaslight that system. So from next year, there are some projects that we're working on with 1 or 2 streaming platforms. I'm not allowed to talk about it, but it will give room for new comics to be seen and heard across the world. Next year is going to be fun. It's going to be a lot of fun. So we are trying to, those things that we've been missing, we want to set it up and give the opportunity to every comedian. As long as you have it, it's yours. And the name of the show is actually called The One Night Stand.
Okay.
Yeah.
At least that's an exclusive. We're letting us know here on the morning show. So thank you
it's
for that.
exclusive. You
And
guys enjoy.
You do. Talking about comedy clubs, of course, you have one set up in VI where you do every Wednesday at Live, where you're trying to encourage more comedians to come out and try their material. And even with the comedy show, LOL, I think the last LOL, Last Man Standing. But outside of that, before we talk about your show, you've spoken about how you are going to be doing other things. And I mean, we've referenced your acting in Brotherhood. You're doing more scripts now. You're involved in, entertainment, concerts. Why did you want to get into that field? Acting, music. You have about 3 albums out, if I believe, 1 coming out, the second half coming out next year. Why did you want to do music and movies and not just stick to comedy?
Stand-up comedy.
Yes.
So when I started, I was a musician at first. I was actually, I was a rapper. And I failed. Because what I was creating back then was a bit like, I would say like I was ahead of myself. I was trying to blend hip-hop music with Afrobeat. That is Fela kind of Afrobeat. So it was a bit rough. A lot of people couldn't understand what I was doing, so I backed out. So I got into comedy, and comedy actually chose me because the way it happened was just divine, right? And from comedy, I knew at the back of my mind that, Bright, you will go back into music. But in the course of that, I realized that stand-up comedy, if you noticed, it's just, I don't know why it's like that, but for every comedian, when you get to a certain level, you start getting bored and you want to try other things. Eddie Murphy did it. After he did Raw and Delirious, he went into Beverly Hills Cop and all this other stuff. Everybody, like, Kevin Hart did the same thing, Chris Rock does it. It's just, I don't know why, but it's just like that. For me, I did not follow their blueprint. I just did it the way it came. The opportunity came to do Flatmates. I felt I could do it. I knew I could act, and I jumped into that. But immediately I started doing Flatmates. That was when everything became clear. And I'm like, Bright, you're going to go back into music. Go back into music. You do TV, you do all these things. But the key thing now is build yourself into every sector, music. So that way I'm a one-stop shop. That's the plan. I'm trying to build my own empire. Music, TV, music concerts, stand-up comedy, and everything.
Right. Tomorrow, will AY be on stage with you?
You know, he's not on the bill to perform, but he's got his ticket. He's attending. I sent him his ticket a few days ago. I know a lot of people have been asking, is he going to perform? No, he's not on the bill. In actual fact, I don't have that many comedians on the bill. I know Bobby is introducing me. It's not going to be a secret anyway. There's Senator is performing. Dan the Humorous, Aproko from Abuja. I've got a few people coming in from Ghana. Salvador was supposed to come, but flight tickets said no.
So if AY is in the audience, there is no likelihood of a cameo.
So the thing is, my show is already designed. It's actually created. We are recording for TV, so it's a 3-hour set.
Right.
As we speak, the guys directing and producing. They just came into the country about a few days ago, and before they even landed, we had already sealed the whole flow. It's not the kind of show where anybody will just, hey, come, Kai, get on stage. It's not that kind of show. Everything is timed, precisioned to perfection.
All right, then. So tomorrow at Hotel and Suites, what time?
So the show starts at 7 p.m., doors open at 6, and I've been telling people, try and come early. We are not going to start 1 minute late. Did you come for the Asha concert? The same thing I did with the Asha concert is, I'm not a selfish person, so mine is going to be even more tighter than hers. So doors will open at 6, show starts at 7. The pre-show starts at 7. The pre-show is actually part of the show. Then the main show starts at 8. Then I get on stage. I'm not going to tell people when I get on stage because some people will say, no, let me just come and see only his performance. But when the show starts, movement will be restricted because we're recording for TV. So I always encourage people, why spend so much money and come late? You're the one cheating yourself. And they will have issues getting into the hall when the show starts. So by 10:30 p.m. the show is over. Wow. 100%.
All right then, thank you. Thank you
Thank
so
you
much.
yes, you can buy your ticket. Look, can you come and face me? I will not come here and not say my. You can buy your tickets at ticketsar.com. Tickets are ticketsir.com. And the number you can call is 0.
Right.
No, I will say this. You cannot cut me off. If you cut me off,
Thank you so much for being on here, Basketmouth. This is the reason why we call you the king of comedy. Cracking up from the studio. Thank you so much.